with respect to the public-private partnership, Mr. Otten, help me as the chairman of the committee understand more, and Ms. Diener, you as well, because for many folks who are watching this, they may say, well, if we can have a public-private partnership, we're very close to our debt service cap, the amount that we can borrow, and if we can have a public-private partnership that can bring $100 million or $150 million to the table, that's $150 million that we don't have to borrow and don't have to saddle taxpayers with, and or alternatively, it frees up that $150 million to be spent on, for instance, the Palisades Library, which has been pushed back. It provides additional resources for a whole host of our public schools that, notwithstanding a really aggressive modernization project over the last 8 or 9 years, we still have a great many of our public schools that are unfit, in my mind, for education. So why wouldn't we want to explore these public-private partnerships? Again, if you could tailor them in a way that you would address your issues, who maintains control, et cetera, maintaining the historic designation, preservation, et cetera. Why should we dismiss it out of hand, Ms. Diener?
That's a good question. I think that there's just no evidence that it can be made to work easily. There's no evidence that the District of Columbia knows how to get a good deal when they do this, as evidenced by the West End Library Development Project. We could have had another $20 million, perhaps, if that land had gone for market value. So that would be helping us.
May I interrupt for just a second? So, and I appreciate what you're saying, because it isn't, I don't believe that we can't get a good deal.
Right.
I believe we can if we negotiate fairly, arm's length, and if we remember who we're working for. Very often, though, I think we fall prey to the fox in the hen house, and often folks negotiate on our behalf, forget who they're working for. So let me just be clear: if we have an arm's length, fair deal that produces additional resources for the system, you are not out of hand opposed to that. Is that right?
I am not opposed to it if it can be done, and I think it is extremely difficult, and there are very few good examples, and there are no examples of a central library in any city in the world that has done so.
Well, Ms. Diener, I think these are very fair points. My inclination, though, is to try to get it right, try to maximize our resources, but I've been very critical of some of the deals, these big-ticket deals that we do in the city. It always seems that taxpayers get the short end of the stick because people are interested in having, marquee projects, or they're interested in, currying favor with those who are in the development business. So I appreciate your point.
And just one other thing is that we have been talking about this idea of a public-private partnership for actually quite a long time, and there are no partners stepping forward that I'm aware of. So it just may not be as attractive as we think it is. And the sale of air rights was testified to last time as about $40 million. I don't know where this additional millions of dollars is coming from, but I look forward to learning more about it.
We've been joined by Councilmember Wells, who I understand has a tight schedule. Mr. Wells, if you have a moment, we have questions for Mr. Grasso, then I can then dismiss the public witnesses.
I have time, plenty of time.
And then what we can do is we'll recess the hearing, we'll have the markup for Mr. Albert, and then we'll return to the government witnesses. So that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Wells. Mr. Grasso, for your round of questions, and then Mr. Wells, if you have an opening statement or any questions, we'll go to you, and then we'll recess. Mr. Grasso.
Well, I just want to thank you all for your testimony on this issue. I had something